Charles Watson in Jefferson Davis County, Mississippi.
Bill, we've moved up the road some away from a lot of the damage so we can safely talk to you. But state officials here in Mississippi are reporting more than 24 tornadoes touched down here on Easter Sunday, killing at least a dozen people. And the path of destruction left behind is extensive. Homes are flattened. The power of those tornadoes ripping through trailers. Spring breakers admit COVID-19 is an issue, but for some, it's not serious enough to stop them from enjoying vacations they've had planned for months. At this point, all the candidates are crisscrossing the state, but some are instead on Capitol Hill, serving as jurors in the president's impeachment trial. And the city says this breach will stretch into next week. For now, officials are confident they'll be able to recover some information. And it's certainly been a good start for the shelter. It tells me it's found at least 10 homes for pups since launching Dog's Day Out. And who knows, maybe Marky will be the next to find his new leash on life. You know, it's not uncommon to see footprints like the ones you see here near this barbed wire fencing here at Antelope Wells. Border Patrol agents tell us that groups of migrants crossing into the U.S. from Mexico often jump through fences far out in the distance before making their way over to the area where we are and surrendering themselves. And the Jackson VA says it's been in contact with Holloman and is currently working to get the veteran a new set of prosthetic legs free of charge. Jerry Holloman says he's depressed and full of anxiety.
That makes for like a punch in the gut.
The wheelchair-bound military vet is a Bronze Star recipient, his service stretching over 40 years through the Vietnam and Iraq wars.
Need to turn around now?
Now he finds himself in a new battle, this time with the Department of Veterans Affairs.
I would like to see them to do what they were designed to do. Get my legs.
The VA in Jackson, Mississippi refuses to pay for Holloman's prosthetic legs. He says their refusal forced Hanger, the company who made them, to take his prosthetics 2 days before Christmas.
That was devastating. Why would you come and take a veteran's leg?
Hanger said in the statement it's, quote, bound by patient privacy laws from commenting on specific patients, and goes on to say Hanger does not take back prosthetic devices once a patient signs for the delivery. The company returned Holloman's legs a few days later. However, the vet says Hanger won't make much needed adjustments to them until someone pays up. Officials from the Jackson VA say it can't pay because Holloman's prosthetics come from a private company outside of its network.
If a veteran chooses to go outside of our system, we cannot, unfortunately, take on the responsibilities for private purchases.
Holloman denies that and says he was directed to get his prosthetics from Hanger. After months of back and forth, he says he just wants his legs so he can get on with his life.
I cannot do it on my own. I need the help of the VA.
The Jackson VA says it's been in contact with Holloman and is currently working to get the vet a new set of prosthetic legs free of charge. Starting over is what often crosses the mind of Mississippi farmer Parker Adcock.
This was my office. It's a total loss. I can't fix all this.
His family home is mold infested and in shambles after sitting in floodwater for months.
First time I came back, I was in tears looking at all this.
Leaving isn't an option for him. The 25-year-old is committed to 4,000 acres of farmland. That equals to about 6 square miles. The wettest 12 months on record between March 2018 and April has caused the Mississippi River to sit above flood stage for months, forcing waterways to spill over onto more than 1 million acres of land in the Mississippi Delta alone. With no pumps to control the water, the Mississippi Farm Bureau says it's become a chronic issue here, where 41% of the nation's water passes through.
We basically turned Mississippi into a flood control structure for the rest of the United States.
For many, the time has come and gone to plant crops like corn and soybeans, but the costs still linger.
John Deere still wants to get paid for the tractor sitting on the shed that I never got to pull out for the year. And I had to figure out a way to come up with all that.
It's been a struggle for farmers all across the country. Crop production is showing. According to the USDA, about 30% of corn crops are behind where they should be in growth this season. That could lead to higher prices for consumers at the grocery store. For Adcock, it's time to look ahead to next year. But if it's anything like this year,
I'm done. It's nobody can survive 2 years of this, for sure.
Spring breakers admit COVID-19 is an issue, but for some, it's not serious enough to stop them from enjoying vacations they've had planned for months.
We just love the beach and the sun. We come to the Panhandle every year for spring break. This is our last year. We're all seniors.
As America tries to stem the tide of infections brought on by the COVID-19 strain of the coronavirus,
Pensacola Beach 2020!
Spring break is seemingly in full effect in Florida. In Pensacola Beach, it's all fun and games with young people who are hell-bent on enjoying their spring break. Indiana University senior Curtis Hill says he thinks the coronavirus pandemic is being blown out of proportion. He says he'll take his chances while having fun in the sun.
And I understand people are hurting and dying, so it's definitely an issue that we need to get on, but I'm just going to keep living my life right now.
Other beachgoers voicing the same sentiment.
The flu kills more people each year, and they're worried about over a little cough and a little hard to breathe.
Florida is a hot spot for tourism, the state welcoming more than 126 million visitors in 2018, according to the latest numbers from Visit Florida. The largest group of domestic travelers coming from neighboring Georgia, with more than 12 million visitors. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis issuing an executive order urging millions to avoid groups of 10 or more. And while beaches exceed those directives, people say they'll keep their distance and practice good hygiene as they bask in the sun.
And we're making sure we stay away from strangers on the beach.
Just wash your hands and put on some sanitizer. And you'll be all good.
And the state is allowing local authorities to decide whether they'll keep public places like beaches and bars open. Officials here have put in place social distancing restrictions, but so far, no beach closures. After completing the last of a $14 billion upgrade to New Orleans' levee system in May of 2018 at a cost 5 times greater than the GDP of Aruba, the area's flood protection is sinking.
The water levels were so high that it was sink or swim.
New Orleans native Greg Jobert saw his childhood neighborhood get wiped out in 2005. Katrina caused floodwaters to spill over the levees and destroy large areas of the Crescent City, a situation many fear could happen again.
If we have a serious enough storm that raises that water level and has a significant surge, the whole area, which includes 6 parishes, could be gravely affected.
The Army Corps of Engineers says the movement of soil at the levee's base is causing it to sink. The system could again become compromised as early as 2023.
We've always known that we would have to lift levees. Our determination is to figure out when that would occur, as well as what it would require to bring them back up once that does happen.
For now, the Corps maintains the system will protect against a so-called 100-year storm. But when it comes to protecting the wider region, environmental groups say there needs to be a greater focus than just building levees, saying in a statement, quote, that includes rebuilding the barrier islands and our wetlands. Coastal land loss is a huge issue down here, and the more land we lose at the coast, the less protection we have for inland communities, end quote. Officials now want to pump in another $3 million to study a new solution for a system specialists say will always need adjustments.
You need to be thinking in terms of what investments do we have to make? What kind of provisional plans? Because there will be water.
The Army Corps of Engineers says it won't have a complete picture of the levee system's conditions until its study is complete 3 years from now. Tom and Marissa, more than 3 million dogs enter into shelters every year waiting to be adopted. Well, the local police department here in Starkville is partnering with the Humane Society to lessen that burden on the dogs here.
It's the new norm in Starkville, Mississippi, to see community officers like Angelica Colbert strolling down the street with a canine friend like Marky.
I know. All the love. All the love. We're that gap in between what regular patrol officers have to do and just the everyday relationship.
This pairing isn't all about being cute. It serves a purpose that starts here at the Oktibbeha County Humane Society. Dozens of dogs here need a home. So now they head out with officers through the shelter's Dogs Day Out program.
About every day we have dogs going out. Some days it's up to almost 5 dogs a day are heading out.
The program is in more than 24 states, according to Mutual Rescue, but only a handful of police departments appear to participate. It's supposed to bring attention to pups who are up for adoption. However, in Starkville, it's become a tool for officers to build positive relationships in the community.
I feel it makes it feel so much more personal instead of this is just their job.
That's clear as people stop to rub Marky and talk to Officer Colbert, though some like Chase Coleman say it's going to take a lot of work to earn the public's trust.
Yeah, I definitely think it takes time for anything for a community, but I think there's a good start doing this.
And it's certainly been a good start for the shelter. It tells me it's found at least 10 homes for pups since launching Dogs Day Out. And who knows, maybe Marky will be the next to find his new leash on life.